Happy International Women's Day! I'm Alicia Malone. This is Screen Junkies News. I'm joined by Roth Kinnett. Hello!
Hello! Happy International Women's Day to you. I'm one of my favorite women on the planet.
Same goes, same goes. And another of our favorite women on the planet is, of course, Brie Larson. Mm-hmm. She's going to be playing Captain Marvel. We're really excited to see her take on that role because she's someone who's just an incredible actress, a beautiful human being, and she's always just been so kind in interviews and really sweet. I remember doing an interview with her for Room with Jacob Tremblay. Oh, she was so lovely, delightful. Yeah. But she said something really interesting. Let's have a look at this quote. She said, "For me, I believe just seeing women be strong and tough is not answering the question of what a female hero looks like. Women have their own set of skills that are worth exploring and seeing on screen. I feel like it's just too easy to just say, well, just change the name of this male character to a female, but have her do all the same things." I'm reading it from the screen. All the same things that a male does. I don't believe in that. I think there's something else. I think there's more to women than that. Mason in Kong Skull Island is a great example of that. And Captain Marvel will be another great example of that and of exploring deeper how women lead and how that is different and unique. I love this, and it's such an interesting and very complex topic. What makes a strong female character strong? Is it usually masculine, or what we think of traditionally masculine traits?
You know, it's so funny because we've been talking about this over the last couple of days around here, and wow, like this opens up a whole interesting can of worms about what that even means and what feminine strength is on screen or what it is in reality. And I think that the most revealing thing about all of the conversations that I've had is that there is no answer.
Yeah.
We really haven't seen that explored on screen. And I think that, again, we talk about, does it really matter what we see in movies? Does it impact society? It absolutely does. Because what you see reflected in the larger media, those are our cultural myths today. I think that's why superhero movies are so popular.
Yeah, well, storytelling is so powerful, and films have that unique ability of touching your emotions. You see the images along with hearing everything. Like it's undeniable how much of an impact it has.
And it helps to tell you who you are. It helps to tell you the story of who you are as you're growing up in the world and figuring that out. And certainly gender depictions on screen are part, or any depiction on screen is a part of that story. So what does it mean to be a female superhero versus a male superhero?
Exactly.
And are those two distinct entities?
Exactly.
Is a really interesting question for her to raise.
It really is, particularly when you look at Captain Marvel, who has superhuman abilities. Does that factor in?
She is crazy powerful.
To being, necessarily masculine or feminine? And what does a feminine strength look like? You know, I think it's to each person it's different. To me, I think there's such power in vulnerability and with emotion, and I guess it's hard to do that while kicking butt. But the thing that I get frustrated with in movies is the idea to make a strong female character may have them do everything that a strong male character does on screen. So fight like a man, drive like a man, and, you know, kick butt like a man, you know, do everything, be as bawdy as a man even, like be as predatory as a man. But I think it's so complex, and it's great to see a range of different ideas of what that could look like. And when you look at our strong female characters, you think of someone like Ripley, who was written for a man. And the first film, I mean, it was refreshing to see Sigourney Weaver play this character that without changing it too much to be feminine. But then the second film, I think, is where she really shined because she became a mother.
That's the interesting thing. Like, that's the Ripley.
And that's the strength of a woman.
It is. I mean, well, okay. It's not the only strength of a woman, by the way. That's a strength. And I was having this conversation too, because certainly there was a big backlash, I don't remember this, about Black Widow's storyline, where the idea was that she was so traumatized because the ability to have children was taken away from her, that people were like, well, why is that the thing? Why does that matter? Why is that defining does that define you as a woman? It doesn't. I don't have kids. I don't plan to have kids.
Me neither.
that's fine. But I will say that I have always related very heavily, and James Cameron obviously did both iterations. He did Ripley in the second film, and he did Sarah Connor, two of my favorite characters. One of the things that I liked about their ferocity was that it was coming from a maternal instinct, because though I don't have children, and this is just me talking from my personal perspective, this will not relate to every single woman on the planet. Though I don't have children, I have an extremely powerful maternal instinct. I have grabbed more kids off of a sidewalk than I can count in my life. I see toddlers when they're separated from their parents. Like my partner doesn't even see it. He just is like, what are you talking about? A cat, things like that. It is powerful. So I relate to the idea that that could help you to rise above your own limitations, and take on what would be extraordinary strengths. Those are two human characters. What happens for a super-powered character?
Exactly, because surely that just means you can do anything, right?
Right?
Because you have these superhuman abilities. I also think when it comes to comic book movies, we see traditional male roles being like ultra hyper masculine, almost like the 80s hard body films, as they call them, you know, with Stallone being Rambo after the Vietnam War. I mean, there's so much that plays into the depictions of gender on screen. And I'm just trying to think, like, I can't picture, maybe people can help, whether there's been a strong female character, however you define that, directed by a woman. Let's say a strong female character with masculine abilities. No, I guess there's been a lot of those, like Aeon Flux and stuff.
Well, there's Aeon Flux.
Every time I think of strong female characters, it's usually directed by men.
Typically, I mean, Aeon Flux, well, let's not even talk about Aeon Flux. But yeah, that's another point, certainly. I think the question that she raises that's interesting when she likens it to her character in Kong, because her character in Kong Skull Island is a war photographer who certainly is willing to go into situations that most human beings would not want to go into and put herself in the midst of danger. But I think what she's referring to is that she is motivated because the way she motivated to bring light to a topic that she thinks needs addressing for broader human goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she's not going to war because she wants to be in war. She's going to war because she wants to capture what's happening in war to reveal something about the human experience. That is not my review of Kong. That is elsewhere. But I think that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
I think that she's saying that's a hero that's functioning with a broader picture of what's best for more people in mind, which is a maternal instinct.
Exactly. And I think a strong female character in the true sense would be one that can tap into emotion as well, because some of the strongest female real life heroes we've seen are those kind of very giving, very loving, but have that inner strength about them.
Yeah.
And I think that would be exciting to see.
But to be fair, our male heroes also are fighting for the greater good. They are also risking themselves for others. They also, Captain America, you know, they have those attributes.
And
Superman,
they're
certainly
not allowed to be necessarily sensitive, or sometimes they are. Like Logan was actually a good depiction of a superhero because he bled and he hurt.
Yeah.
And he had that fatherly instinct.
I feel like there's also, we have to acknowledge, and this is true on screen and it's true individually, is that there's clearly we all have, as my friend Carl Jung, I mean, like we all have masculine and feminine traits.
Yep.
All of us do. And so there should be a spectrum of what that means for women and men on screen, with superheroes as well. So what those traits are, there are women that can identify more with what we consider to be masculine traits, and women that might identify more with what we consider to be feminine traits, and men too, and that could change on a daily, momentary basis.
Yep.
But how much of that is informed by what we've been told is masculine and what is feminine?
Mm-hmm. It's a hard, it's a complex issue, and I think it gets even more complex when there's so much judgment on it too.
Yeah.
Like recently we saw with Emma Watson, for an example. She did the photos right here in Vanity Fair, and the photo on the left she took a lot of flack for because people were saying, aren't you a feminist? You're not supposed to be showing your boobs, which is completely wrong because one has nothing to do with the other.
Nothing.
And I'm sick of the judgments on people that this is what a feminist looks like, this is what a woman looks like, this is what a man looks like.
And I think that's look, any human being, male or female, in their strength and their power is being themselves. You know, they are being as authentically themselves as it is possible for them to be in a world that wants to beat you down for it at every given moment. And that's what, for me, Emma Watson is exactly that. You know, like, show your boobs. Like, why not? Why wouldn't you want to feel attractive? There's nothing wrong. And if that's the way you feel attractive, that's great. If you feel attractive in a totally different way, that's great.
Exactly.
You know, it is the judgments, but I do think that in the past, particularly on screen, we've seen, if you look at Angelina Jolie and her career as an action heroine, that is, to me, illustrates a lot of what I think Brie Larson is talking about. I love Angelina Jolie, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Love her. But if you look at something like Salt,
which was a male character that they changed to be a woman.
Exactly. It feels like that when you watch the movie. You know, it very much has that sense about it that this was a male character and then Angelina Jolie did it.
Yeah.
And it becomes this strange, by the way, Salt 2, assault with a deadly weapon, never happened, and that's a goddamn tragedy. Bless you.
I was laughing and sneezing at the same time.
I would like to see this idea of what Brie Larson is talking about, because she's a very feminine, now I feel like a jerk for saying that, woman, but Captain Marvel is so powerful. Yeah. That balance is going to be very interesting.
That's going to be hard to balance. And a question for you, do you necessarily want to see female directors direct female stories, or in the future, do you hope they can direct all kinds of stories? Something like Wonder Woman, you know, they were specifically looking for a female director, which is fantastic.
And they are for Captain Marvel.
And they are for Captain Marvel, which is great, because then finally women get in the door to actually be able to do one of these big movies. But does that then make it more like you can only direct it when it's about a woman?
No, I think I want to see more directors of all shapes and sizes and genders and colors working. That's what I want to see, because I want to see that expression out in the world, because the media is so powerful, and that it does have this very clear impact of our perceptions of ourselves and who we are as a culture. It's a loop, right? Like, who we are feeds the media, and then that feeds back into the loop, right? It's self-perpetuating. So, but I also don't want it to be so narrowly defined. Like, I love Point Break.
Yeah.
Love Point Break. That's, on paper, ostensibly speaking, a very masculine movie that a woman directed.
And Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker. Talking about Catherine Bigelow.
Yeah.
Hurt Locker. So Catherine Bigelow never felt it necessary to change what she was interested. Maybe she was actually doing the opposite. I don't know.
Yeah.
And intentionally going for what would be considered masculine properties, or maybe that's what she was attracted to. She's a great director, so I don't care. She did what she wanted to do. At the same time, like Jane Campion, she's doing The Piano, and that's a very feminine feeling movie to me. And it's about a woman and a very complicated female character. So do it all. Do whatever is right for you.
If you can get the opportunity, do it all.
Well, that's a whole other question.
A whole other
if
video.
you can get the job,
if you
do
can get
it
the
all.
job. I don't know if we've made any sense here.
There's no answer.
There's no answer, but we would love to see what Brie Larson does with a female hero that is otherworldly, but also has feminine strengths. I love what she said.
Yeah.
I'm on board for it. I want to see that.
I think the fact that we're having this conversation and that there is no clear answer is the point, because if you ask me to identify what the hero's journey is, I can tell you right now what the 10 steps to that are. And back in the day when I was like in college and studying all that stuff, I thought, it should be the same for women and men, like Moana was the hero's journey, whatever. But I thought about what is that, but that is really specifically female. And I still don't have an answer to that.
Yeah.
And that tells me how we're lost. We don't have the stories that are helping to guide us about what it is to be a female and strong in this world. And we're just a little lost, and I'd love us to just start that conversation.
Yeah, here's to the future. Hey, thank you so much, Roth Cornett. And you guys let us know in the comments below what you think of our discussion. If you have any points that you would like to make, we always appreciate it. Be nice, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching. Click these boxes to watch more Screen Junkies news and click the logo to subscribe.